Ladies and gentlemen, we're back on the job, and tonight we're going to be cutting out the door here to our gatehouse. We were away the last little while, so apologies I haven't gotten a whole lot of progress done, but we take a family vacation every year in Nova Scotia where we're from, and so I'm just getting back to work here now. And tonight what I did here was nailed on two 2x4s on either side of my door, and these are now going to support the logs as I cut them out. It's to support the ends over here. And it also gives me a guide to cut by, because when I cut these out, I'm going to try it here in a second with the chainsaw. And I'm going to use this here as my guide to cut it down as straight as possible, so that when my door frame goes on, everything lines up really nicely. So we'll try to get through this tonight and build the door frame. Let's see how it goes when I get cutting here. Straight, a whole lot faster than using the handsaw, and we're going to go from there now, and we're going to start building our door frame. So we're going to start with the header on this across there, so I can temporarily put that up, and then I can make my measurement from the bottom up to do my sides. And this is going to go a little bit slower now that we're back to the handsaw, but the good thing is there's no more mosquitoes. Now there's just swarms of horseflies, and they torture the dog. They don't bother me as much. There, that works. So now I got to measure going up. So here you see where I did my foundation, we had to build this up probably 1.5 feet or more from the ground initially. So I have rock running along here, and once I get my door on, I'm just going to have to build this up as a little bit of a ramp that comes flush with the foundation here, and then we're going to put crushed stone in here for the floor, and that should level everything out so that you just drive in and you don't have a hump here. Okay, so I've got one board cut for the side here, and just as another hint, I just happen to have this stuff around. I'm not giving an endorsement for it, but something like this Thompson's water seal, I'm using that on the ends here. Oh, don't spill it, buddy. I don't want to get that on you. And that way, anything that's coming down like close to the ground, even though it's a rock foundation there, I'd like to have the ends of these done with some of this preservative, and that'll help keep this stuff from rotting that much more. I've been taking this stuff and dabbing all the ends in order to keep everything from rotting. So I hope this structure is going to be here for a long time. All right. While I wait for that to dry, I'll do a little tour of the building for you. This is now how it looks coming into it. I had a friend ask, well, why all these big gaps that you're leaving in your shed? I thought, yeah, of course, I'm not going to leave my wall wide open like that. But here's what it looks like now from the inside with the half rounds. I'm going to go, I think, with another layer of half rounds over top of those ones facing out the other way. And I guess I'll show it when I come time to do it. But it should completely seal the wall eventually, and it costs nothing to do it. You can get those half rounds from the mill for real cheap because they're a waste product for the most part from the mills around here. And then here you can see the roof, and I use just regular either spruce or fir logs for the roof poles. And I probably should have or could have done those a little bit closer together, maybe at 18 inches, but I did them at 2 feet. And then on top of those, I put my strapping and then my metal roofing. And I think it'll be enough because it's got enough of a slope. You can see the rise there that I don't think it's going to take any snow load at all over the winter time. So it should, without any weight on it, I think that'll be adequate. And then up here on this side, this will probably be done in mosquito netting and then just some sort of metal screen or something like that. And I'll leave that open, I think, up there for light to come in because there are no windows in the building. So our sunlight, that actually does face south over here on this side. And so we'll use that 2-foot gap at the top of the wall there, likely for air and for sunshine to come in. And I think there's going to be enough overhang on the outside there to keep the weather from coming in through there. So that's a look at the inside. And the door, I made sure to measure would be enough for my 3-wheeler to fit in through there when everything's done. And then here's a look at the outside, again on the front, where we have our main poles going up to support the roof beam. And our siding is on here on the front. Oh, and just also you can now see the logs running down through there. That's just the junk we cut out of the door there tonight. But you can see my poles running there that are going to go across the driveway, 1 and number 2. And those are going to haul out through that hole over there and go right across to the other building we're going to build on the other side of the driveway to house them. And that's how we've designed our gatehouse. As I pull those logs through, they're going to come and they're going to drop onto this log, and this log here. Okay, and that, of course, sort of takes away some space from the back of the shed back there. So I don't want to have, you know, the further I pull those logs out this way, sort of the more inconvenient they become in terms of using my space in the shed. And so I left those in there, I think about 5 feet or so from the wall in the back. Those would be about 5 feet out. And hopefully that will carry the weight as the log pulls through, because it's going to drop off of this and then land onto that. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, here's a quick view from the other side, just to show the logs coming out. So we just showed them from the inside. how that works on the inside of it, and this is what it's going to look like on the outside. And those, of course, will be long enough to come right across the driveway because they go all the way 16 feet back to the far end of the shed there. Also, you can see how I disguised the corners even with those half rounds, so that it's very hard to tell now that it was ever even a log building, which is kind of cool. I know in some ways it would have been nice to retain the log look of it, but that wasn't the purpose of using the logs initially. The logs were simply meant for the frame of everything, to build the structure. And now, because of the way we built it without notching, these logs, obviously, they're just not big enough diameter to go and notch them and have them sit tight together where you wouldn't have that gap anyways, because we're just using some small trees here, small diameter stuff. And so they help build the frame, but then after that I have to do something again on the outside for the siding. And those half rounds are the cheapest way you can do it, and that cedar would last a long, long time on the outside of this. Don't leave paint around the dog. He spilt it all over my saw here. Trying to get away from them horse flies, aren't you, buddy? Can't win around here. Alright, so I brushed off my rock over here, and I put down just a little piece of bark, because this isn't probably totally dry. This board's going to go here. And we'll make it flush with the 2x4 there. And then we can nail it on. Okay, so now I'm going to take a spike and I'll drive it also through the end of this into each of the logs here to better support the logs that are just sticking out here at the end. Because obviously you're going to weaken your frame when you do this, and you want those logs to stay steady that are here on the end. This is pretty nerve-wracking cutting this out tonight after taking all this time to build this frame, to go and hack it all apart to do your doors. A little bit unsettling, but I think it worked out really well from the looks of it, and things are lining up pretty good. So I'll try to find basically center of every log and then get a nail in it through here in order to support that. And so this is just a bit of cedar bark from off the half rounds that I put on the walls. I'm just going to stick a piece of it down there like I did on the other side to keep it off the ground a tiny bit. That jams it in really tight. Flush with my 2x4 there. Perfect. So there, that gives us our door frame. I'll do another video, maybe when I do the doors. If you go back in our videos, we've shown you pretty much every stage of this, from the foundation to building the log cabin style walls, how we held those walls together with our corner posts, our beams that go up to carry the roof beam, and the different roof beams themselves that went onto the main carrier beam. And I don't think we really filmed the metal roofing, but I figure people have probably seen, how to do metal roofing. We appreciate you liking and subscribing. We don't have very many subscribers, but the ones we do seem to stay on the channel, so we really do appreciate that, guys. Hopefully we'll slowly build this channel over time, and I do hope this helps, and people learn something from this, how to build for really cheaply for themselves. So far, with this little bit of lumber that I bought today, that was only $40 for the door frame. I spent another $80 on the strapping for the roof, so there's $120, and it was about $130 for the different components for the, I don't know if you can see it out here, but this rebar, this threaded rod, and the nuts and bolts, that was about another $130. So we're in about $250 so far in building materials. I'll have to add to that whatever the cost of the metal roofing is. But I'll let you know once that's done how much that ran, and I still think this shed's going to come in well under $1,000 for a 16 by 8 structure that should last a really long time over here in the woods. So thanks again for watching. Cheers. So look at the horseflies around that poor dog. He keeps pacing to try to get rid of them. There's no escaping them, buddy. We'll be out of here soon.